Have you ever wondered why some people who make a lot of money still live paycheck to paycheck? We're not talking about billionaires here, but still those in the top 5 or 10% who earn a very healthy six-figure income a year. It doesn't seem to make sense, does it? If someone is making that much money, wouldn't they be able to very comfortably cover their expenses? It seems like that on paper, but in real life it's never that simple. Here's a sneak peek of why high earners can't seem to escape that paycheck-to-paycheck grind. Number 1. They use their high income to buy expensive items or to keep up with the Joneses. As people climb the career ladder and earn more and more, it's a natural tendency to want to upgrade their lifestyles to match their higher incomes. This can be for many reasons: to demonstrate to friends and family that they've made it, or to match their coworkers or work colleagues' lifestyles, and many other psychological and peer pressures that people go through. But if expenses keep going up because of spending on luxury items that really aren't necessary, even high incomes will not be able to cover them. So what are some of these common expensive things that high earners tend to burn their money on? Let's take a closer look. Luxury cars. Luxury cars are one of the most common things that people tend to splurge on. After all, it's one of the most common status symbols out there, and rolling up in a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz is something that many just can't resist, as a way of demonstrating their success. But of course, high-end cars aren't cheap. Apart from the associated auto loan or the leasing cost, they come along with many other expenses such as maintenance, gas or fuel, and insurance. This can easily add up to thousands on a monthly basis. And don't forget that cars are depreciating assets that decrease in value each and every day. While it is possible to downgrade to a cheaper car in future, it's a step that many are unwilling to take because of the perceived loss of status or loss of face. Expensive homes in high-end neighborhoods. Many high earners like the prestige of living in swanky neighborhoods. An eye-catching address is a kind of low-key way of showing success. But upgrading to a bigger home in such an area is not always the best idea, from a financial standpoint. Higher monthly repayments from an upsized mortgage are usually a multi-decade commitment. Not to mention the higher property taxes, insurance, and homeowners association costs. Continuing to live in a more modest 1,200 square foot apartment may be more realistic, but less desirable for high earners. Warren Buffett has probably set the best example in this respect. He has a net worth of over $100 billion, but he still lives in the same house that he bought for around $32,000 in Omaha, back in 1958. Expensive private schools for their children. A quality education is rightly viewed as a vital necessity for children, and the education industry is a big business. Globally, the K-12 or primary and secondary private school market was valued at over $2 billion. And school fees can end up costing well-heeled parents tens of thousands of dollars a year. In addition to the perceived higher quality of education, many high earners also view expensive schools as a networking opportunity for themselves and their children, as they get to rub shoulders with other successful people. Whether these perceived benefits actually materialize or not is debatable, but it's several $1,000s a month in expenses that they willingly dive into, nonetheless. Multiply that, if there is more than one child. Fine dining and pricey groceries. While the average American consumer spends just $10 to $15 a day on food, high earners tend to spend much more by eating out more, and are less keen on cooking at home. This could be because they don't view cooking as a good use of their time, or don't enjoy the process, or simply enjoy the convenience and luxury of eating out, and eating well. While there are plenty of affordable options in supermarkets and restaurants, many high earners will spend much more on gourmet food and experiences, such as high-end restaurants and upscale grocers. This is definitely okay, up to a certain point. But these bills can easily end up amounting to thousands of dollars a month, which will take a big bite out of anyone's income. Designer fashion. Fashion is another area where high earners tend to spend big, by frequenting designer stores and buying clothes more often than they would previously. Suits, coats, and dresses are all expensive items, and many give in to the temptation of splashing the cash on these, on a regular basis. Again, this tends to stem from peer pressure. That is, the urge to upgrade their wardrobes to match their higher status. And don't forget accessories either. Designer belts, ties, scarves, and similar items can run into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Where they would previously shop at simpler outlets, or only splurge on high-end items occasionally when their paychecks were more modest. High earners may find themselves shopping at boutiques on a monthly, or even weekly basis. Number 2. They don't budget or keep track of their finances. Budgeting is a cornerstone of managing your finances well, but it isn't exactly the most fun activity in the world. It can be tough to go through your expenses line by line, and say, "This is what I can afford to spend," and then have the discipline to stick to it on a monthly basis. This is even more so when people have six-figure incomes. The tendency is to think that budgeting is only for those who don't earn much, or who have to watch every dollar. It sounds silly, but it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that high income removes the need to keep track of expenses. In actual fact, unless your last name is Musk or Bezos, nothing could be further from the truth. There's a reason why even the largest, most successful companies in the world that make tens or hundreds of millions in revenue watch their expenses and their bottom lines very carefully. High incomes are great, but they are not limitless, and finite income needs to be monitored carefully, or it can easily be eaten up by uncontrolled spending. A fact that many high earners unfortunately need to confront, for their own good. Number 3. They tend to buy things on impulse. As we saw earlier, having a high salary is an amazing thing. Money does make the world go round, and all else being equal, lots of cash usually equals lots of opportunity. But the flip side of earning the big bucks and having a high disposable income is that it makes it easier to indulge in impulse purchases, without thinking of the long-term financial implications. Psychologically, high earners believe that they have achieved a significant level of success in their lives. And for many of them, being able to spend without thinking too much is a behavior that reinforces this belief. This can be for anything from clothing to electronics, and even to groceries. In fact, according to some studies, a mind-boggling 20% of shoppers in the US admitted to spending $1,000 or more on an impulse purchase. You can be sure that a good chunk of those have high salaries, and can seemingly afford it. But however you look at it, the stark truth is that regular impulse spending is a money pit, and will quickly and easily eat away at a monthly paycheck. While it's true that money can buy opportunities, it also comes with its own set of risks, and psychology can play a big role. Keeping spending to only important items is a must for anyone at any income level, and high earners should be especially vigilant about this. The tendency to spend money unnecessarily is all too real, and is something everyone should actively seek to avoid. As difficult as it may be, having the financial mindset of a low or medium salaried employee will save high earners from easily avoidable financial pitfalls in the long run. Check out these videos next on how to grow your savings more effectively.